Welcome to Wednesday, May 13th. So, as we continue to move along the world here, a couple reminders. We got a couple more weeks. Drop dead. Missing assignment deadline is going to, I guess, be May 29th, according to administration, to the leadership of Lake Fenton. But still got a couple more weeks of online learning. This is my favorite unit, so we're not going to stop until the date of stopping. Next week, we start looking at a project that will lead us into the effects of WW1 in Europe, or World War II, how we led to World War II in Europe. But right now, we're continuing to move around. We looked at China, Japan, Middle East, and how they were impacted during this time period of the fight between the communists and the nationalists in China, and the impact of oil, and the start of the British. The British influence, other foreign influence in the Middle East, that led to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, among other consequences. But we're going to look at Gandhi and the Indian independence movement. We visited India many times, and during our time visiting India, we've seen how the Indian people are very unhappy with British rule because they feel like they're being robbed. They feel like their natural resources are being taken, and their freedoms. Remember, a lot of them are being taken advantage of. The sepoys, and remember, we left with the Sepoy Rebellion, and how the animal fat, using the animal fat from the weapons, caused controversy for both the Muslims and the Hindus, and they're not being respected. So there's some video clips, some questions, and some reading due on Sunday. The Pear Deck on China, Japan, Middle East is due today. If you want to do weeks 1 through 4 of the COVID time capsule, that's due on Thursday. If you wish to have one homework assignment replaced. Again, reminding you the revising incomplete assignments for credit toward the letter grade. So we start getting to the drop dead deadline for the 80% threshold. These are some other reminders about overdue assignments. I'm still working through the World War I project board. I think I have one more class to go as of this recording to look at grading. They're a little longer. They take me a little longer to look at. So let's look at Gandhi. I'm going to hide my fat face for a minute as we start looking at Gandhi. So Mohandas Gandhi, the Mahatma. How does Gandhi's resistance to political oppressions in India lead to the eventual independence of India in 1947? Remember, 1947, 100 years of British rule in India. The jewel of the crown. The Indian National Congress is that first modern nationalist movement to emerge in the British Empire, in the British Empire in Asia and Africa. And the leadership, under the leadership of Gandhi, the Congress becomes the principal leader. So why would they want independence? Again, so this is where I'm giving you a freebie on the first question. They wanted to be free of foreign control. Remember, there was a back and forth. The British were gaining natural resources, soldiers, cheap labor. The Indians were given this modern technology. This was the British argument. Hey, look, we've modernized your country. But they wanted to control their own destiny. They wanted the economic benefits that their country had to offer. The British were taking advantage of it instead of having it stolen by the British. So there's a series of events that you're going to look at. One starting with the Amritsar incident, where tensions start to run high in Amritsar, this city in northern India, in April of 1919, and the British general, Commander General Reginald Dyer, ends up firing on the crowd. What would you do? Let's say we have the COVID-19, the stay-at-home orders from Governor Whitmer being protested against in the Capitol. You may have seen something about that. What would you? What would you do in that particular instance? You have these people so it'd be like the MSP firing on the crowd, or the National Guard firing on the crowd to disperse in the Capitol when they're able to peaceably assemble. Using that as an example. So again, you're answering these in complete sentences, and where needed. And then we're starting to look at the early career of Gandhi and why he uses this trait called civil disobedience or passive resistance. He believes that the Indians should obey British laws and, if necessary, go to jail over them. And if necessary, go to jail excuse me, he believes that Indians should disobey the British laws that are unnecessary and, if necessary, go to jail for them. Passive resistance means that the fight should always be peaceful, though, no violence. So he started this in South Africa by burning these passes, and you'll see in South Africa, he wanted when he was 24 when he arrived in South Africa to work as a legal representative. He developed political views there. So in South Africa, the Indians had very limited rights, and so he ends up burning these passes. So the clips are actually from a movie about Gandhi's life. So they're actually based on that. And then when he gets into India, he starts doing these other activities, and the leading one is this thing called the Salt March. Salt is a very valuable commodity, and he feels like the Indians are being taxed too high for that. So that's why the salt is important. And so why did Gandhi choose the salt tax as a um, excuse me, why did he choose the salt tax as a focus? Because salt is needed to live, just like air and water. So as a result, the salt tax affects everybody. It's something that's very widespread, something that everybody can get behind. So again, reading the passages above them, and then also doing, and then eventually ends up in the culmination with this thing called the Salt March. This event called the Salt March, March 2nd, 1930. And you'll see read the excerpts, look at the video, these short clips from his life, and then answer the questions in complete sentences to the best of your ability, as far as understanding what the Salt March was, and the importance of protesting against salt. This is again a form of civil disobedience. Those characteristics that Gandhi has against civil disobedience, and why he would resist using that, and then back in his days in South Africa, even using the pass burning, which is nonviolent, but it's again traveling, restrictions against people traveling in South Africa. Excuse me, as you're going along. So understanding this idea of civil disobedience and how it leads to the Indian independence movement is the major objective of today's lesson and activity. So again, it should say this, answering a question in a color other than black, using complete sentences where needed. Okay, so that's the aim, and we will move on from there. That's due on Sunday, and then we will move on next week into causes of WW2. All right, until next time.